Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show, Lil Mike Fight Night. I'm your host, Bear Evans, and today we're going to be going over Conor McGregor canceling his return to the UFC 303 with Michael Chandler. We're going to be talking about the person who I thought first dropped the legitimate news. We're going to be going over from what's this place, MMA World, the video they dropped as well, going over everyone else's reactions and things like that. I'm going to go over what Chandler says and what his next move is. So with that, let's get right into the video, guys. As you know, UFC 303, the headline has changed. It is no longer Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler. I believe Alex Bana is the one who was taking the spot, and versus Jiri for a rematch. Guys, if you are looking for news that is like 2 hours old, you want it the very first person, the very first press release, that is not this channel. This channel is just for me to have fun, continuing the fight dialogue as someone who loves UFC. So I might be 1 day late or 3 days late or something like that, but I'm also not trying to hit that market or demographic. So with this, let's go ahead and talk about Michael Bisping. Michael Bisping, to me, was the first one who actually dropped what happened to Conor McGregor, talking specifically about his injury, and also his source was John McCartney, which is amazing UFC ref. So let's go ahead and play this.
I should have known though. I was on a movie set last week and I was working with Big John McCarthy, a man that is an absolute authority on mixed martial arts. And he told me in no uncertain terms, this fight is not happening. He's injured. He's hurt himself. His leg, the leg that he broke, that snapped against Dustin Poirier, the titanium shin bone has failed.
My foot was a balloon.
Okay, that's what Big John said. And I thought he was wrong. I thought he was mistaken. I thought he'd been sold
Wolf tickets.
because I thought, no, it looks like the fight's going to be back on. Anyway, Dana just came out. It's done. It's off, right? But the big question is that it? Will McGregor ever fight again? Now, of course, they're going to move Michael Chandler versus Conor McGregor to another date down the line, okay? I don't know the extent of the injury. We've got to assume that it is the leg. Big John said it was the leg. He's not fighting, so it must be pretty...
Okay, guys, wow. His titanium shin bone failed. That, to me, is a pretty big injury. There's been other news saying that he got a fracture. He has a little hairline crack in his bone that had the surgery on the one. I think, I'm not an anatomy expert or anything like that, but anyways, one of the bones that was healing that he broke in half, it's got a fracture. That's the word on the street. That, to me, is a pretty big injury. That's not a small deal. What we're going to go to next is Dana White's official announcement that UFC 303, the headline has changed, who it's changed with, and then also it's going to go over some reactions of some of the people in the industry, including Michael Chandler. So with that, let's go ahead and click play.
He goes off on Dana White for announcement. There's been a tremendous amount of uncertainty surrounding the UFC 303 headliner between Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler this week, with Ariel Helwani reporting early Thursday that the UFC is working behind the scenes to see whether a fighter can step in on short notice or replace the main event entirely. The MMA community has continued to anxiously await for updates. Last night, Dana White shocked the MMA community by posting this.
All right, guys, here I am again. Conor McGregor is out of 303 versus Michael Chandler with an injury. The new main event is Alex Pereira, former not only UFC middleweight champion, he's also the first and only fighter to win both middleweight and light heavyweight titles in UFC history. He also did it in the shortest amount of time. He did it in 736 days in 7 fights. He finished 7 of 9 wins by knockout, which is a 78% finish rate, and won 10 of his last 11 fights, and he is facing former UFC light heavyweight champion Jiri, who has an unbelievable 23 first-round wins. He has 25 by knockout, 3 by submission. That is a 97% finish rate.
This really confused the community because Michael Chandler posted this 4 hours before Dana White's announcement, writing, MMA fact of the day. Amount of times these fighters have pulled out of fights in their entire careers. The notorious MMA, 0. Michael Chandler, 0. In addition, McGregor took to Facebook on Thursday posting a shamrock emoji while sharing a comment from Michael Bisping that read, McGregor looks sharp and ready for UFC 303. The community wasn't happy with Dana White's announcement. Here's what they had to say. Dustin Poirier tweeted, #NothingBurger, referring to Conor McGregor's tweet earlier this week. Another fan tweeted, "This is the worst news ever, Dana. I can't believe this," while tweeting a picture of paying $6,654 for UFC 303 tickets. Wow. Terrible business for the fans, Uncle. Continuing to hype up a fight you knew was off just so fans would continue to buy tickets and pay-per-views, knowing full well they wouldn't see McGregor versus Chandler, is the ultimate slap in the face to your loyal customers. You owe me big money, dude. I paid big bucks to see Conor. Tejeda is not Conor, no matter how much you try and play it up. Thanks for ruining my night. Man, I knew this was too good to be true. I could have told you that he wouldn't fight 2 months ago, Dana White. You know it, everyone else knows it. He just didn't take this seriously. He isn't injured, he just can't be ready on time since he hasn't been training properly. Conor McGregor, pathetic, man. Ariel Helwani reacted to the situation.
Conor injury is not severe. Not severe. I think he can be back in 2 months. I'm not going to say what it is because I've been asked not to say, and you have to respect that. All this is going on in the Twitter sphere. Hey man, I think we're all looking forward to a Conor McGregor fight. It's been too long.
Okay, guys, what do you think about that? So they're saying McGregor's out. Ariel Helwani's saying it's not that big of a deal. You have one guy on Twitter saying, hey, we know he just wasn't training properly. Obviously, you've seen Conor McGregor out and drinking with his wife and partying. We know people like Ilia Topuria, Israel Adesanya, Alexander Volkanovski, those type of guys, they do drink sometimes before the fight, though lightly. McGregor looks like he's going out and partying. Was that because he knew he wasn't going to fight? Maybe he... so there's a few ways you can look at this, right? So obviously he had that fractured leg. Everyone's thinking of the fractured leg. He didn't show up to the press conference that got canceled because he was limping. To me, if it was that bad, he's out in the club, no, he can't fight, he'd be limping. Maybe it's not that. Was there, Conor McGregor's just simply not ready to fight, just even in the top 15 of the UFC. You have to be in absolutely great shape. And one of the things that's the least funnest about being a fighter, if you've ever done a fight camp, then you definitely know, is cardio conditioning. McGregor, yes, doing the sparring, the light sparring, dancing around, filling each other out, pad works, bag, strength and conditioning, that is fun. But when it comes down to the conditioning, the cardio part of it, that is something that you cannot neglect, and you really, really, really need to figure out how to delegate enough time out of you where you can end your camp to get your miles in every single day. So, with that being said, guys, drop your comments down below. How long do you think the UFC has known this fight was going to be off for? Why did Chandler and McGregor keep alluding that it was going to be on? That's kind of weird, right? Seeing that Chandler and McGregor, you remember when McGregor dropped footage when it first dropped out that they canceled the press conference? McGregor dropped sparring footage, which I did a video of that and released the whole clip. Chandler's over here saying, we've never pulled out from a fight. So to me, did they really think they were going to fight up to this point? I honestly have no idea. I'm hearing different things from everyone else. It's really just kind of up to everyone else's opinion to kind of extrapolate what is really going on. But with that being said, guys, the last thing I want to ask and to kind of talk about is the ticket prices. I mean, row 5 was like 25 grand. You had some other seats that normally go for $1,000 for like $6,000, $8,000. Are those guests going to get a refund? Prochazka versus Hill is not comparable to anything McGregor. I'm sorry. I absolutely love Alex Pereira and Jiri Prochazka. They're amazing fighters, but they're not Conor McGregor and they're not Red Panty Night. And the last thing I want to do is on that video, did y'all catch when McGregor went back to Poirier's, you replied to Poirier's Nothing Burger comment saying 500,000 pay-per-view buys a Nothing Burger. So I think that was a pretty good comment. The last thing I wanted to share was, Michael Chandler's response video. I just want to play a little bit because it's kind of longer. Maybe I can play this whole thing out and just end the video there and just have you guys hear it. And let's go ahead and click play. I can't listen to the whole thing because it is a little bit boring.
Well, it's Monday morning. On the trail right now. Getting my mind right. Thinking about what has transpired over the last couple of days. Obviously, you guys saw it all. Got the rug pulled out from underneath me at the last possible moment. I just got done with my last sparring session Thursday morning. I've been hearing rumblings since Monday, obviously, but really got the call about an hour after my last sparring session was completed. An hour after a celebration. Anybody who's trained for a fight or anybody who has gone through a training camp for something, you go through a really hard block and then in order to peak, you get toward the very end to where you don't go hard anymore as to throw yourself into the fire and take a chance of injuries, overtraining, bumps, bruises, cuts, all those different things. And I had just gotten done with that. The happiest and healthiest and hardest to kill, most dangerous man I have ever been in my entire life. In that moment, to 30 minutes later getting a phone call that all of that was for naught. Or was it? Reminds me of the story about the man at the bottom of the hill, where God comes to him in a vision and says, I need you to push this rock. And the man pushes it and pushes it and pushes it. His shoulders are bleeding, his hands are bleeding, he is dead dog, tired, exhausted. Finally quits and looks up and says, God, why would you tell me to push this rock up the hill if you knew I wasn't going to be able to do it? And he said, son, you misunderstood what I said. I didn't tell you to push the rock up the hill. Just because the rock was at the base of the hill doesn't mean I was telling you to push the rock up the hill. I was just telling you to push the rock. Sometimes in life, the best thing that you can be is just obedient to the cause, obedient to the grind, obedient to the process. And the result is going to take care of itself. Whether that result is a letdown, whether that result is a delay, whether that result is a set of circumstances in which are out of your control. So what do I do now? A little bit of uncertainty in my life. When's this fight going to happen? What date would it be rebooked for? What venue? How bad is the injury? Reports have come out that it's not that bad, just needs a little bit of a delay, but it's still no guarantees. But I thrive in the no guarantees.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and just pause it right there. I mean, man, if you doubt the tenacity and just the absolute mental fortitude that Michael Chandler has after hearing that, I don't know what else to tell you, man. His mindset, 100% locked in. He is sharp, he is strong. I can't believe he's been holding out for 2 years, quite possibly at the end of the prime of the peak of his career, for Conor McGregor to have this insane payday, the same glory, all these eyes on you for just to keep falling through, guys. With that being said, I'm going to end the video right here. What do you think? Do you think McGregor's going to come back? I don't know. And then also, who do you think's going to win? Alex Pereira versus Jiri Prochazka. I have Alex Pereira again by knockout. And then MVP versus Ian Machado Gary. I have MVP by knockout as well. With that being said, guys, I'm out. Peace.